Real stories with bold creatives. Captain Off Script Podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Captain Off Script Podcast. My guest today is an absolutely amazing figure in the design industry at the moment, but he's not just a designer. He's a speaker. He does so many things. He also does kind of a podcast through Adobe Live. It's not a podcast, but it's talking with different people, and that's one of the amazing things. So I'm sure he will not have any problems doing this today. He had some major, amazing projects through his career, and we will be talking about all of that, but about his personal side as well. And it's such a pleasure to greet Kieron Anthony Lewis here in the Captain Off Script Podcast. Welcome to the show, Kieron.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. And sorry it's taken so long to finally connect. I'm so happy we finally found a space.
In May or April, I think, and it
was a while back.
Yeah. But it's really a pleasure. And as I was researching your career, I've seen some amazing projects you did, and it's really, really cool to have all of that experience on your side. And as I said earlier, like, you do Adobe Lives, so you will be like maybe even better than me at this.
No, I don't want that pressure. I don't want that sort of pressure this early in the morning.
I have to do it, just to put a bit pressure on you. So, let's start from the last thing you said, and I've seen on your Instagram an amazing project. You just came back from Lagos, Nigeria. Tell us about it. That project and 7-kilogram case for a book.
Yes.
That case was amazing. The book is even better. Tell us more about it.
Firstly, it's one of those projects where I'm not going to do justice by even saying it. You have to almost see it. So for anyone who hasn't seen it on social, on media yet, there'll be opportunity to hopefully see it at exhibitions. But a bit of background. If we go back 2 years ago, where I probably had a lot of less grey hairs, and I also didn't have a daughter at the time as well. I was approached by a guy called Foller, who I've worked with before at an exhibition on branding work. And he had this idea that he's been doing, to be fair, for 8 years, for much, much longer, way before I came on the scene with the Lagos BNL team. And they had this idea to create a publication. Firstly, I had no idea of the scope of how big. It was one of those projects where we're going to make a coffee table book. Oh, okay, cool. And we're going to feature 161 artists, and they're all going to be from the continent of Nigeria, of Lagos. And it's going to celebrate the space in a particular area called Tafawa Balewa Square, I should say. And everyone that's featured have a connection with this space. And we're going to have work exhibited in this space. And this book is going to celebrate that as well. And it's all in keeping with the Nigerian 65th independence anniversary too. So there's a lot happening in this book, a lot of essays, a lot of imagery, assets, but I didn't know I'd be designing a 456 page
a table
hardback book.
Does it
like
kind
you do.
Of like doesn't serve the word of the scope of the project.
I love the challenge though, right? I was like, I've done a few books before. I've made a few books before. In fact, I'm not going to pretend like it's not right beside me here.
Of course.
Be very careful. It's huge. It's huge. It's going to take up half the
my
screen.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's gold foiling on the side. I don't think it does justice. It really doesn't.
It's so huge.
It's massive. And then plus, like you, David, good intro, it's in a concrete case, right?
Yes. It's actually like a map of a square where the Biennale goes.
Exactly that.
If anyone, I will definitely link it up, your Instagram, in the after the session is posted. But it's such an amazing, I've never seen something like that. You see cover of a book, it can be like a bit different. Yeah. It's not just hardcover, but this is something monumental.
When there's concrete involved. I'm not going to pretend. So that was Foller and the team in Lagos creating that concrete part. But the interesting part, if you can imagine me in London designing the book for 2 years, printers in London, but then the concrete is in Lagos. So it was the very first time I actually saw the concrete with the book inside. And I was almost nervous thinking, can you imagine it doesn't fit? Can you imagine if it did fit, by the way, it was perfect. but the nerves. But yeah, so very long story short, we've created a publication, and we had a dinner and evening to celebrate the book with some of our sponsors that were there for the book itself, and it was a beautiful occasion. And it was just there to celebrate the book. And official shots haven't been released just yet, but they're landing soon.
Yeah,
it was cool to be there.
No, it's one of the most amazing projects I've seen, and I've seen a lot of them through explorations and research for all the podcast guests. But have you ever previously been to Nigeria, Lagos?
Never. The funny thing is, and the irony is that I worked on a few voluntary projects with a group called TEDx Houston, and very long story short, the majority of the team are from, or the parents are from, the area of Nigeria and Lagos. So I always thought if I was to go to that part of the world, it would have been through the voluntary work with that team. This wasn't on my agenda. It wasn't on the to-do list, but it was very much on the to-do list, and yeah, awesome experience. Yeah.
Oh, that's really amazing. How would you, you obviously have some idea of the design scene in Nigeria as well. And how would you compare it to, I don't know, the design scene in London or in big cities in the Western world?
That's a good question. I think, so you mentioned, obviously, I do a lot of the live stream with Adobe, right? And the beauty is that I meet a lot of creatives from around the world. So there's a conversation you have with other people around the world online, but then when you actually go to a physical space and you speak to people. So when I went to Lagos, I was there for 3-4 days, and I met a lot of the artists that were featured in the book, right? And there's a sense of they're in love with what they do, but there's also that kind of carefree attitude as well, where they're not feeling what I produce is going to be judged, and if it is judged, it's okay. And I don't know if it's being from the UK, and we're quite a reserved bunch, right? We're nervous if we put something out there, how it's going to be received. And this is just my opinion. I almost feel like out there in that side of the world, it's a little bit like, well, I've produced this. I love what I do, so I want to put it out there. And it's okay to have people who disagree with what I've produced. But the fact that it creates conversation, that carries weight. And I got that vibe when I met a lot of the artists, and I had chats with them, had drinks with them, it was a really nice experience to speak to the artists, because you're seeing their work for 2-3 years on a computer screen, and then you meet them in person. So yeah, it's a different vibe to the UK for sure.
Yeah, no, that's actually even better attitude towards work. And because if you create something, you shouldn't be like afraid to put it out there and be afraid of your work being judged, because after all, in real world, there's no project that everyone will love or everyone will hate. So there will be like mixed opinions, whatever you do, whatever we do, or anyone else. So yeah, it's quite encouraging, I guess, to designers there to just put the work out. And that's what I've been saying through all the podcasts with a lot of different guests. Just put the work out there and, learn from it. Don't take those bad comments too seriously. So yeah, that's really amazing.
Yeah. And just on that, it's interesting you mentioned about the good and the bad, because do I dare say the work that people tend sometimes to remember are the ones that are the more controversial, the ones that are that's more of the talking point sometimes. It's like we run towards danger. So in a way, not to say it's bad work, but it's the work that people are having more uncomfortable conversations about, the ones that stay in the mind longer.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We all remember now, even probably a year later, of I cannot remember the name of the car. The rebrand that,
throw some names. Maybe I can help you. I don't know. I want to help you. I don't know.
Car rebrand that they made it like all millennial logo, minimalistic.
Not a Tesla, is it?
No, not Tesla. Okay. Oh God. Yeah, I jumped right into my mom. Never mind.
It'll come back after the podcast, won't it?
Yeah, probably will. Yeah. No. Okay, let's go further. So, but also what was interesting to me, that one of your first projects, if not the first one as a freelancer, was a 300-page hardcover book for Black voices as well. And how did you feel? Like, was it scary at the moment? Like, It's a huge project, and I've just started doing your freelance work. How did you feel?
Because it was during COVID, it was literally the first the first period of lockdown actually as well. So there was an element of going freelance for the very first time, element of my first major freelance client, paying publisher, which I'll get into how that even came about as well, because that's an interesting story. And then to top it off, obviously creating a book of that size. 300 pages is a lot. It's bizarre. Do you know what's bizarre? Saying that it's a lot. I think, and I'm going to answer your question, I promise, but I think because I've created a lot of hardback books over the time, and obviously the Lagos being 456 pages, in context, right? It's more, that is a lot of work, but because it's broken down and I've done a few, it doesn't feel like a lot of work. Okay. But I understand it is a lot of work. But yeah, to answer your question, I think there was an element of nerves of doing a project of this scope, but also excitement, because I thought if I do this project and do it well, I'm hoping this will be the spark of something interesting with my freelance career, right? And working with publishers and projects that touch on my interest and touch on things that are, close to my heart, i.e. the Black community, i.e., conversations about racism as well. So yeah, there was elements that was going through the mind, but I felt I could do it. So yeah, why not? That's the attitude I had, I think.
That's amazing. I would be scared to death. Like if that was the first project I got, I would be scared to death.
We hide the nerves. We just compress the nerves, and then everybody gets on social media, it's all good. Of course I was nervous. I want to be human, right? If I wasn't, but you find a way to make it work.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And how did they come to you, and what's the story about it?
So whenever when I give talks at unis and say, how did you sort of pull HarperCollins as your first client? Do you know I mentioned about the voluntary work I did for TEDx Houston, just very briefly?
Yes.
There was a person in that team called Nancy, who I absolutely adore, Nancy Adamora, who worked at HarperCollins at the time.
Oh, wow.
And because, you can see where I'm going now, because I did the voluntary, we did it for 3 years. And when I went freelance, I was telling people, okay, I'm going freelance, anything out there, let me know. And Nancy was actually one of the first I reached out and said, there's this project. It's a big one. Obviously you have to show portfolio. It's not a case of just, I'll put your name forward, you'll be the first candidate.
Yeah.
But she allowed me to kind of pave the way for me to get my foot in the door. And I had the meeting with the creative director, with the marketing director as well. And the energy was there, man. We had like a half an hour, 45-minute call on Zoom. They saw my work. And yeah, the vibe was there. And then we just basically ended up doing work together. And because it was during COVID, we couldn't do physical proofs in person. It was all Zoom. It was all Teams.
Okay.
So I had a lot of calls with them and breakdowns, and that's how I got the gig with HarperCollins.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, one of my guests, I think, Will Patterson, he said that communication and conversation with people always bring positive things. So yeah, I mean, I guess your previous conversations and your previous work did the thing. But you've always been into editorial design more than any other type of graphic design. Why is that?
That's a good question. If I even think back to school days, and I've mentioned this, I know on a few podcasts, I think I was obsessed with magazines and comics. I was always obsessed. I actually bought magazines and I cut them up. I cut them and I created my own, not to sell, obviously. I would have been like 15, right? But like, it was just to kind of create something based on what someone's already done. And like that was at the time I wouldn't know about typography and all that sort of stuff, but I knew there was something interesting about working in grids and working with how imagery and text kind of relate. But I didn't know that would be a job, if that makes sense. I didn't think that would be a career which I'd pursue. So I guess it stemmed from school days, man. It stemmed from liking magazines.
That's really, really cool. And you've been working in different agencies, if I'm correct, and from the university as well. So tell us more about the beginnings of your career before being freelancer and all of that.
Oh, what a life. I mean, I did a lot of work in agencies as in-house designers. I worked in advertising actually quite a bit. And I always say this is no secret when I mention this, but I struggled a bit in the advertising space, for multiple reasons. One, I think it was because working as a junior in a big, and it was a very big established ad agency, feeling like a bit of a small cog in a big machine. There was that element. There was also the element as well, let's be real, being the only person of color in that space as well. there was a lot of things that, you know, it felt like a struggle in that space as a young designer. But what kept me afloat was in this period of time when I was in advertising, I was doing side hustles. I was doing the TEDx Houston voluntary. I was doing stuff to kind of keep me creatively afloat. By the way, this is before becoming a dad, right? And before married life. This is like when I was living, obviously living just terrible, but like the idea when I had more capacity to do a lot more. So that's why I was able to do like, okay, I'm working Monday to Friday, ad agency, but I'm also doing stuff in the evenings with friends, or I'm doing stuff on the weekends. So that fed into where I'm at now, basically. Yeah.
Okay. That's really cool. And why actually go into freelance? What made you, was it some horrible job where you didn't enjoy things?
I'm not going to name drop, Ellen. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. What was it? Do you know what? I actually think, when I think back to university, when we were in our final year at uni, I always knew I wanted to go into freelance. And I think it was the base of doing work because I enjoy to do the work, not because I'm not because I'm told to, because obviously when you're a client, you get given projects, but I think it was more having ownership, of a bit more ownership of what you produce and create.
Okay.
And I think there's an element of trust. I always was a bit nervous when I left uni and thought, okay, I'm going to have to find a work job, because that's what everyone does, obviously full-time, whatever. But I would, if I produce a piece of work, am I able to really fall in love with what I've produced? Am I just doing it because I'm told to do it? There's elements of, do I have a bit of, can I really say what I really want to say if I produce a piece of work? And I think being freelance, and I can look back and I think that I've got confirmation on this, but when I produce a piece of work or a client approaches me or publisher, there's trust already there because they've seen what I've produced. There's an element of, okay, Kieron, we know he can create hardback books. He's got the experience. He's got physical books to prove it. I do get clients approaching me with obviously what they want to see and what they create, but there's elements of, I know I can give Kieron a brief and he can kind of run with it a bit. I don't think you can have that sometimes when you are a bit of a junior or maybe in an agency. That's just my opinion anyway.
Not
so
that much, I think.
But I wouldn't, obviously, I'm very grateful for that opportunity anyway, because I do always say at university when I give talks that it's important to experience what it's like to work in an agency world with different people, teamwork, meetings, deadlines, to have that, that feel for it first before you jump into the freelance, where it's a bit of a, you in your own space, really.
Yeah. But you could have picked a better time to go freelance, couldn't you?
I could. Yeah, I could. Plus, I was actually planning to get married as well. So it was all the finance.
All of the things that's once,
Do you know what? I do believe in I don't know if like karma or things like that kind of space. Yeah. Things happen for a reason, right?
Not kind of a destiny that we are predetermined, but karma is a way better word. Yeah.
So people who know me really well will know this story already, because I've definitely used it before. And honestly, my wife can back this up. So on the same week that I went freelance, so I handed in my notice. It was during COVID, HarperCollins, all these things happened. Planning a wedding was the same week that Adobe reached out to say, okay, we have this thing called Adobe Live. Would you like to be a guest? You can't make this up, right? It's just like,
you cannot. I read that part and I was like, oh my God. Like,
I'm not making it up, I promise. Go on my emails, you'll see the dates. Like everything's too, so there was elements like things seem to be aligning here. Like, so I've got to make the most of it, right? And also don't take it for granted too. So I think that's why I was more, and I still feel like I am, just determined to make this work. If doors are opening up, you got to make the most of it. But you get left behind. Yeah,
use it and take the
use
opportunity.
Use it or lose it.
Absolutely. I mean, and you said in one of your previous interviews, I think, that you thought at first that an email from Adobe was a scam.
Oh, don't say scam. That sounds terrible. I think it was more because obviously I've been using Adobe for years, right? We all do if you're creative of some sort.
Yeah.
But I guess I've never had a connection with them. So when I got an email from Adobe, I was like, I'm going to check this person's name on LinkedIn to see if because I thought, this is weird. Why would they be approaching me? And I guess from the TEDx Houston and voluntary work, I felt blessed to have an email from them. But I mean, obviously now that I know it's legit, of course. But I think I was just nervous thinking, why are they approaching? So I love that you said that. Because it was like, why are they approaching little man from South London for?
I mean, you don't really expect those things out of nowhere. I mean, you either have some kind of a connection or previous work or something. but that's quite a story. Yeah. So it all happened during COVID. You were locked down in London as well, as far as I remember. Yeah. Madrid was horrible. Madrid was absolutely horrible the whole time. We couldn't, I mean, I've said it before in podcasts, but we couldn't go out at all for like 2 months. You just go to grocery store and to the doctor if you have to, and that's it.
That was the highlight, right? Just going to the shops.
My God. I mean, I was lucky to be with my husband in the apartment and, you do stuff. And I've never saw so many movies in my life.
Binging, Netflix and Apple TV, man. We're living the dream.
Yeah. It was like every evening we would find a movie and you just, kind of try to pretend everything is normal, even though the world went completely crazy. So how did it feel for you? Were you living alone or with your girlfriend at the time?
Fiance at the time. But do you know what's funny? I always say to people, because we were, very long story short, by the time we met and got proposed to each other, or I proposed to her, it wasn't that long. But I think because we spent COVID together and lockdown, I always said anyone who spent lockdown with their partners probably fast forwarded 2 years in a space of a year, right? So I felt like if we can survive each other in COVID, we can probably have a mortgage together.
Can do everything. Yeah, like 5 kids, whatever you want.
Yeah, kids, marriage. Yeah, I love that.
I mean, if you survived that, oh God, it was such a challenge. Yeah, but how did creative work for you? I mean, how was it all shaped? I mean, it's true that it's all digital even nowadays, and even before that, we work online and everything. But was there any? Was it harder a bit, or it went pretty much the same?
I think because obviously that was my first time experiencing freelance, and by the way, because I did side hustles and all that stuff at uni and college, and during my advertising place, but not an official freelance. I'm talking like, accountant and all that stuff. I never had anything to kind of go off by in terms of like the year before it was pretty bad, but this year's good. I had nothing to kind of use as a comparison. So I guess for me in that period, I won't lie, actually, like on the work front, things were pretty decent, in the sense where, because obviously as well as during that period with the George Floyd in the US, there was a lot of, uncomfortable discussions and conversations happening. It was very rife, and a lot of people wanted to work with Black creatives. So I almost felt like I had a lot of clients approaching me. Obviously I'd be very careful and wary why they're approaching as well. And I've always been, from my parents putting that kind of knowledge in me, I've always been quite one to scan the room well, and I think to get an idea. But in terms of clients reaching out, it had a bit of a snowball effect. Like a lot of publishers reached out. You can see a few books there because casually strategically placed. That was all during COVID as well. Most of it was during COVID. So I did a lot of projects, a lot of book projects, covers, books from cover to inside, all during COVID period. So it was pretty good. But I think it was more, my brain was already thinking for the following year, thinking, okay, if we get out of COVID and things go back to some normality, I've got to, I guess, kind of ride this wave in a sense where don't just sit on your, behind and assume it's smooth sailing here from now. So I think I was already thinking about, okay, cool. What could I be doing for the following year to make sure that we keep afloat? And that was, the Adobe doing the interviews on streams. That was doing university guest lecturers. That was a lot of things. I was putting things in place for the year ahead.
Yeah. Did you have any like speaking experience and hosting experience before that, or Adobe Live was?
Live streaming, no, because actually, no. I even when I went back to school days, I wasn't really nervous speaking publicly, and that comes down to how I was brought up within my church as well with my family. I would give talks like as a young kid on stage, so I guess I already had that energy from my family, and especially my grandpa as well, who sadly passed not long ago. But there's energy from that which helps me kind of growing up in terms of public speaking. But the live streaming and like going on live and speaking, never done that in my life. And even more so when Adobe reached out, that was to design live, right? Now I'm a host, so I'm not the guest.
Yeah.
But to do designing live, I never would have thought I would ever do something like that. It makes me nervous even thinking about it still. But
yeah, I can only imagine, like, oh my God, what would I be doing for an hour? Like,
it goes quick though, buddy. You'd be surprised how quick an hour goes with a live stream.
Everyone would see like, oh, I don't even know the shortcuts for the software and everything.
Everyone's judging me. It's good energy. It's good energy.
It might be a bit scary. I can relate to that. But how was the experience of being a host and talking to so many creatives, like meeting all these people? I have part of it through the podcast, so I can imagine. But how was it for you? Like,
it was awesome, dude. I love meeting people in general. Like, it's, even when I think back to school days, I'm a fairly sociable guy. I think it's more what I tell this a lot of my friends. One thing I have really understood, besides everyone who's incredibly talented who's on the show, showing their work methodology, is how people understand humor. Because like American humor, I host a lot of Americans, right? And people from Canada and so forth.
Yeah.
But the humor and the banter between the UK and US, very different. I might drop a joke from the UK. They're not funny out there, but they might find my accent funny. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So there's elements of that. But yeah, I've really enjoyed all the people that I've met. And one thing I've said as well is that because we have somewhat of a connection, because a lot of the guests who I feature, I won't say names, it's going to be fair to say names, but I always have maybe an hour call before we go live, like a few days before. So I get a feeling of who they are. They get a feeling of who I am, because usually 40%, maybe 50% of the time, they're quite nervous because it's the first time, right? So it's my job to make them feel as comfortable and as relaxed as humanly possible. And that can just come from the energy of, and also people who you might find this when you do podcasts, and hope I'm not doing what I'm going to say next, but people who are very nervous, they talk a lot or quickly. So as a host, you gotta find a almost like an entry point to then not feel like you're talking over them and feel like they can lead the way. And that comes from the dynamic. So again, I'm having to learn that dynamic as I go through the years of working with Adobe. But it's been awesome, dude. I've loved it. Yeah.
Well, I will not ask who was who's the interview.
I would never say names. No.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be fair because there's so many amazing artists. But can you pick one lesson that was the most important from all those lives you read, like that impacted you the most?
That's a good question. One lesson. I think, to be fair, and this is not a cop-out, but what we discussed earlier before about putting work out there and not being afraid, the majority of people who I've hosted, and actually I can think of two in particular, they were very nervous to come on the stream, very nervous, but they're now on the stream so regular now. And it's fun. It's funny because I realized that switch point between being very nervous to now just wanting to be on all the time, it came from a sense of, okay, I'm nervous, but the work I'm putting out there, I know it better than anyone else because I made it. And I think there's an element of that which I find really inspiring, because as much as, I mean, I wouldn't be human if I didn't get nervous, of course, right, when I'm hosting or I go on stage or whatever. But books like the Lagos book or the Still Breathing Behind, if I put it out to the world, or I go to university to give talks, who better to talk about design than the person that designed it, right? So that gives me confidence in itself. So I think I've learned that from the people that I've hosted, that they have a belief in what they're saying, and that carries weight, and no one can really fight them on it because they create a conversation. Yes,
the experts and
do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So you are also doing things, as you said, speaking at universities, Adobe Max as well. What's your best experience when talking to people like that, being kind of an educator?
Do you know what I've always loved? Because I've also given talks at colleges and secondary schools. So I worked with a friend of mine a few years back now, but we did a lot of work through Westminster City Council. So we were joined up to the council, and then the council would invite us to give talks at secondary schools and colleges. And by the way, you can imagine university level to secondary level to college level, it's so different. And I actually, weirdly enough, as much as I love giving talks at unis, I love colleges and secondary schools, because they have no filter. Like there's no chill. And I think it's more, if it's respectful, but they're just so curious to know, and the reservedness is not there. I think when you're in uni, you're reluctant to maybe want to say what you want to say without sounding like an idiot. In secondary school, colleges, when I've spoken, they just say what they want to say, and sometimes actually the lectures that I've been on stage, and someone in the audience has said something, and almost the college, the lecturer said, are you okay asking a question? And I'm like, dude, it's totally like, I like curveballs. I don't mind a curveball question. If I feel uncomfortable, obviously I won't answer it. But 9 out of 10, I will answer it. And that's what I've really enjoyed. Those experiences where people they've got a question, they really want to know, so they're going to answer it. And they don't care if it makes them sound silly. They just want to know the answer. So I've enjoyed doing those kind of talks. Yeah, I've loved it. Makes me nervous, but I've loved it still, nevertheless.
Yeah. You never know what to expect, but
you never know.
Yeah. No, that's quite cool, actually. Yeah. Apart from work, you are a big Arsenal fan.
Yes, I love that. Are you a football fan? Are you?
Yes.
Yeah? I feel like I bullied you into that. Sorry. Are you an Arsenal fan?
No, it's all good. Real Madrid is for me, like, the top. I mean, it's kind of obvious living here in Madrid. And yeah. So Arsenal, what attracts you? You go to games, I guess.
As much as by the way, when you mentioned Madrid, are you from Madrid as well? Are you from?
No, I am actually from Bosnia.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've been living in Madrid for 8 years now. And as I said yesterday with one of my guests, I just feel Madrid home. I know that a lot of people feel home where they grew up, where they were born. But for me, I've visited and been in so many different places, but the only place where I feel at home is Madrid. It's just I've actually moved last year. I was living in Barcelona. I moved for a year. Yeah. My husband got a job there, and the city is absolutely beautiful.
It's a vibe.
But we came to visit some friends to Madrid at some point, and we left the train station, and I said, oh my God, this just feels like home. And I was like, it was so different. And I never felt that, I was always looking weird at my mom saying, oh, my birthplace and, where she grew up. And I was like, oh, come on. It's just, but
I love
that happened to me earlier this year. And that nostalgia to one place is just
good feeling.
So crazy. I couldn't believe it, really, but it's definitely feeling, where I feel at home.
I see for the most. The reason why, because my wife's from Galicia, in the north part of Spain.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because we've been together for quite a bit now. Obviously, we've got a daughter who's obviously bilingual. I'm immersed by Spanish culture and we go to Spain a lot. So, in a weird way. And I'm going to go back to football as well because there's a linkage to this. But in a weird way, Galicia feels like second home because we go maybe 4 times a year. But also her dad, amazing. My father-in-law, is like a diehard Madrid fan. So my B team is Real Madrid by default, which is not a bad team to like, to be fair. Because of her dad. So yeah.
No, that's amazing. So
that's a connection.
Yeah.
Arsenal.
That's really good.
Yeah, Arsenal's got a special place in my
when you come any close to Madrid, be sure to let me know. That would be absolutely amazing. So
we've got a podcast live, right?
Yeah, no, I was. It's a good question for me. Yesterday I was talking to Matt Voice.
Yeah, he's a good man. Yeah,
he's amazing. And I was talking to him, and I actually plan to have a live podcast with him earlier this year. But as both me and him have some anxiety issues, and I have a huge anxiety talking to people in person, it never happens. Yeah,
okay.
but I am ready to step out my comfort zone. So absolutely will do. Yeah.
Bro, you've got my support, man. I can't wait to when that lands. I'll be the first one on there liking it, man, and commenting for sure.
Yeah.
That if I can.
Super cool. Yeah, amazing. Oh, I love that. I didn't know your wife is from Spain. So
from Galicia. Yeah. I mean, it's literally and I did lessons for 4 years. So the thing is,
wow.
I'm not gonna. My Spanish is good. because 4 years of lessons, how could you get bad?
It's a lot of time.
But I pretend like I don't know much so that people don't assume that I know. I keep it like a ninja, dude. Yeah. But I understand.
That's amazing. And they speak so fast, right?
It's fast, but also because it's Galician, it sounds, they have their own regional language as well, Gallego,
yes.
which is like a bit of Portuguese mixed in. So you have the Spanish, you have Gallego, and then obviously, so my wife speaks obviously Gallego, speaks Spanish, but she now speaks Portuguese, and my daughter's learning, well, she speaks Spanish because she's bilingual, but she's learning Portuguese too. So by default, I think I will know, because if I have a 2-year-old who speaks Spanish, I'm pretty sure Dad should be able to speak. I have to, yeah.
You have no choice, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But did you find it hard to learn?
I actually did. I did a class in Holborn where it was like a sit down in like a classroom with other people, and I struggled. I think it was there's always one guy or person in the room where they want to be the person that answers first, or just very on it, and that put me off a little bit. Yeah, the best one. And what I end up doing is I end up doing it for like a week, and then I end up not doing it for a while. And then when we planned to get married, it was my wife's childhood friend who's a teacher. So every Tuesday and Thursday we'd have a Zoom call and we'd have a lesson.
Amazing.
And that was our lesson. And we did it for even after the wedding, we continued. So like 3 years of my life was doing Spanish lessons every Tuesday and Thursday. And it started off by doing homework and the basics, to then coming on Zoom to have a conversation about how your day was, but in Spanish, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Yeah.
That's the best way to learn from a Spanish person, and talking like about normal things and not just grammar. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, the colors and the days of the week and the numbers.
Yeah.
And you make it into like a. So, but also one thing I've discovered, dude. So my family are from Jamaica, and that's like Jamaica, Nigeria, and weddings and birthdays are always a vibe. But in the Spanish culture and the weddings, my God, because I've been to so many weddings now in Spain with my wife. And she's got a group of friends who they don't speak, only 2 of them speak English. The rest don't speak English. So I've been in situations where we're on a dinner table and I can't expect my wife to be with me the whole time translating. So I've had to sink or swim moment. So that's where my Spanish has gotten better, because I've had to just, I don't want to be that guy on my phone stuck on Duolingo. Yeah. So it's cool, man. It's nice when your brain clicks and you understand what they're saying.
Yeah. This is really interesting. I have more questions. What's the best thing about Spanish culture you like? Like, what attracts you the most? I mean, food is probably one of the things.
Yeah, the obvious part, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially in Galicia.
So good.
Yeah.
Have you been to Galicia before? Have you been to Galicia?
No, I actually haven't been to the north of Spain. I've visited like the coast and the south, but we are planning to go next year for vacation in the north. So yeah.
Nice. Oh, no.
But I've heard all the best, like the nature, the climate is kind of similar to the UK. So you will have.
I love that you know that.
Yeah.
No one knows that sometimes. They assume Spain.
Yeah.
It's sunny.
A lot of fog and rain, so you will be just fine there. Madrid is dry. Yeah. Well, it was raining yesterday, but I cannot remember when was the last time before that it was raining. Madrid is dry, but the north of Spain will be perfect for you.
It's countryside. Yeah, I feel like I'm a tourist board now trying to promote the area of Galicia to come along. So that's a good question you asked me. The thing out there, I mean, I'm not going to say the food because it is the food, but that's such a basic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think it is? The element of siestas. And it's funny because I adopt that now in my day-to-day life. I have like a nap, like half an hour nap. And I think it's interesting when I've been to Galicia and I work remote, right? So, but I'll go into the town, everything's shut and it's like 1 o'clock and I'm thinking, why is everything closed? Is it a bank holiday? It's because everyone has a siesta, right? And then it opens later. But people are more like revitalized afterwards. And there's an energy that comes from giving your brain a bit of a rest. So that can be so adopted to everyday life for anyone, regardless of your background, culture, and work. So I do that now, and it allows me to be more clearer when I jump back on my computer work.
It's way easier to work late nights when you had a siesta and took a little nap. I do it quite often. Not all the time, but it helps.
I'm not going to judge you, Alan, if you have a siesta, 2 siestas.
It's one of the things that I adapted. How were the late dinners for you?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. I do struggle with that. I do, especially because I've got a 2-year-old as well. It's like we can't have dinners at 8:00, 8:39.
Okay.
It's just, it's funny because actually you notice that question more when you're at a wedding. Because when you're at a wedding, it's a long thing and you have a lot of meals.
It's a really
and obviously
long time.
And seafood is big, right, as well, especially in Galicia.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like when it's time for breakfast, we're already on like lunch pretty much. So I mean, obviously I adopt and, you know, culturally to be respectful, you do. But also as well, they understand, like the in-laws understand, you know, we have a bit of a, because we got a 2-year-old, we've got a structure. We have to have a structure, otherwise it's chaos.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have it.
Yeah. I don't want to be up at 2 a.m, dude. I don't want to be up at that time of night. So yeah, fun the way.
So, you said you have a daughter as well. Daughter, right?
Daughter, yeah.
Daughter, yeah. How did your life change after that? After getting a kid? I mean, I know it's a monumental thing and it's a monumental change. I have a nephew and a sister-in-law who, well, he's 8 now, so he's big. But I know things change, but how that change was for you?
Okay, so I'm drinking water now. I think I need some scotch.
Okay, yeah,
answer that question.
It looks
something,
like, I don't know,
stronger, maybe.
Spritz or something. Yeah, no worries.
Answer that question. It's very difficult to answer that question. I think for anyone who's listening or watching the podcast, if they've become a new parent, they'll understand why I say that. I think the one thing I shifted though, and I think it's easy for me to say it now, is my perspective on what's important. And what I mean by that is I absolutely love my career. I love my job, what I do as a, you know, designer. I love making books. I love it, but I don't live for it, you know, as much as I did before. And that's not to say there isn't a love for it, but it just shifts. From even in my school days, secondary school, I've been a workaholic. You know, I do love to work and it becomes addiction. I work on the weekends. Now I do work a lot still, but also weekends is my family time. Like I want to spend time with my daughter, you know, and my wife. It's family. So, and also without getting too much into, I mentioned obviously my grandpa passed away less than 2-3 months ago. So my perspective on life and family and work has completely shifted. So I love what I do work-wise, but my family is the focal point in my world. Not as much as my design work anymore. And I think that's not a universal answer. I don't think many people won't have the same answer to me, might not, and that's okay. But it's just, it does shift. It does shift. But also there's elements of, I don't know how you find this when you get a project, but I used to be that guy. I jump on InDesign, but I also maybe go on YouTube, maybe take a few videos. I mess around on BBC Sport. I haven't got time to do that anymore. I have time to chill and have Spotify for sure, but I can't just mess around on YouTube for 2 hours. I've got deadlines. So, cause I know after 5 o'clock, I want to have family dinner. So, you know, it shifts, buddy. It does shift. That's like a sprinkle of like my answer. Cause there's so much more layers, but
I mean, I can imagine, honestly. I mean, and with the schedule for the kid and everything has to be at a certain time. And well, she's too young to ask if she has any affinity towards design, I guess, right?
Well, you say that, but so my wife's doing a PhD, right? And she's, my wife is very, she's a design historian. So she's very academic.
Okay.
I always say she reads the books. I design the books. Like our living room is just like a mini library. So, and by default, my daughter, like she does have a lot of books, right? It would be crazy not to. And your mom and dad are so involved in that space. I think it's a classic case of when both parents are somewhat creative, your child probably might not be, because you assume they would be by default. And because we'll get her in, you know, but she can obviously be open to other things and, you know, you go swimming or whatever. But I tell you what she does like, and it's just a random thing. She loves football. And I've put it on her, but she does love football. And weekends we have the little ball and, like, I don't know. I'm just saying, Arsenal women, it could be a thing if anyone's watching this.
If anyone's watching,
Scouts are open already.
Just putting it out there, so,
The feelers. Yeah.
Oh,
the question is, buddy,
amazing.
does she go to Madrid women or does she go to the Arsenal women? That's the... I don't know. Too much pressure to answer that question.
You never know. Yeah. I mean, and in Spain as well, she could play for Spain. So Spanish women representation is like,
and they're both very good. The Spanish and the English women are both
UK as well.
Really
that's so true. Yeah. Oh, amazing. She will have a tough choice when she grows up if it was football.
I don't add that pressure to what kind of dad would I be, but yeah.
I mean,
who knows?
No, that's really cool. I love it. Was there anything that, I mean, is there a thing that you would, if you could, say to a 10-year-old Kieron?
Does it be work related or anything in general? Or
anything really.
It's tricky because I love these answers more because I watch a lot of like dystopia, like Universal, like Interstellar, that kind of thing. I love that thing.
Oh, okay.
The problem, if I told myself something, I probably wouldn't be who I am or where I am now. So the thing that came to mind straight away was, Kieron, don't stress so much. But I know by having those moments and being the way I am, I probably might not have been where I don't think, I mean, for one, we might not be in the podcast together on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
So I think I would reluctantly not want to tell myself anything. But if I had to say something, just for the purpose of it, I think it would be to enjoy those little wins that you get with projects. If it's a client that is like a, hang on, I'm 10-year-old me. What's talking about? I'm not doing HarperCollins at 10. I just realized the question. I think it was more like, okay, let me go back. I think it was more the idea of telling myself at that age, it's okay if you don't know what you want to do job wise. I think, my family have always been great at, especially my mom, at like saying, if you want to go into this world, you can kind of do whatever you want to do. That's cool. But because I was always an overthinker, even from very, very young, I think I was so determined in finding the job and not knowing what the job is, but just finding it. And I think it was more enjoy the idea of being a kid, enjoy meeting people, collaborating, having fun, play more football. But dude, I had a good like childhood and I enjoyed school. So yeah. There we go. That's a long answer. Sorry, that was probably not the answer you wanted, but I don't know if that was a good answer.
It's really cool because I actually, it's a good subject, because the school system and its like totality and even probably background education from parents and growing up, everyone is trying kind of force us to pick something that we want to do in our job, even when you're a kid, like 7 years old, they ask you like, oh, what are you going to be when you grow up? And honestly, for me, until like maybe 35, I really didn't know what I want to do. I did different things and I love those things because I was designing since 2009 and I was in this world and I loved it. I studied civil engineering, which is completely different.
Oh, okay.
Totally unrelated.
Wow.
Yeah. But honestly, when you ask people or you force them to study something or you push them into something, I mean, no one knows what they want to do, right? I mean, most of the people, at least,
Yeah, most, yeah.
Like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? That's such a, so I love that you would say, like, just to do whatever you want and enjoy it. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of a cliche, people always say that, like, do what you love.
Sure.
But it's a cliche because it's true, you have to do it. Otherwise, the job you do, the work you do, it will not be the top, it will not be never like the best thing you put out. So yeah, that's a really good one. I love that.
But also, can I just add as well, like, I think like culturally as well, like we all have different upbringings and family, especially mom and dad or whatever your, structure is such a heavily influenced. And in the Caribbean culture as well, it's with my family in particular, my grandparents and how they've been, it's not like you have to be a doctor or an accountant or a job that would be considered to be the most stable job. It was more from very young, to be fair. It's always been, whatever you do, just get one kind of thing. Like, just get a job. Oh. Like it could be an account, it could be anything, but I think just make sure, because for example, like my grandpa worked as a painter and decorator and, he's a craftsman. So I guess it's more taking pride in what you do. That's always been a big one, actually, having pride in what you do as a job as well. And it could be anything. And even I even tell my daughter, So without getting too off piece now, even the dustbin men come where our flat is, you can see outside, and the dustbin men come with the big, the orange truck and all that. And she loves it. She adores it. And I always say to her, if it wasn't for these kind of people that do a job like that, we would be living in chaos. So obviously the streamlined version of saying it to my daughter. But I think it's important to tell them that, because jobs like that, which people might have a bit of a, turn up their nose to, it's important that we have that. So it's those kind of things that people should, and hopefully do, tell younger people or their kids that it's necessary, and no job is beneath them, because it's necessary for the world to function.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, in my country, in Bosnia and in the whole Eastern Europe, it's quite, that's why I started civil engineering, I think, because you always have the pressure to, have a good university. The diploma in the end is really valuable and everything. And I was always kind of a creative person. I loved writing before in high school and everything, but I was good at math and physics and everything. So I ended up in civil engineering, thinking, okay, I will be an engineer later. And that's always a good thing, a good thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And even now, if I would have to pick, I don't know, being a freelancer in design and just doing what I love and being an engineer, I would always pick design and the things that I love to do, even though I have, I'm a total introvert, and this is so...
really? Yeah. Okay. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, this is not my natural state. So, but I would always pick this before being an engineer, working in an office and structures, math and Excels and all these programs and everything. So I couldn't do it, it wouldn't be sustainable for me.
Do you know what I love what you just said about, you're an introvert, but you do things like the podcast, and it allows you to kind of come out your shell and be more. Is there a word, the middle point between introvert and extrovert? That idea that you are somewhat.
Yeah.
Is there a word for it? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I feel like someone will tell us in the comments, but
might be.
If not, there should be a word for that, right? Where
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, until a year ago, I was working for years, but actually on social media, my face was not present. I was just behind Silver Stack Type Foundry, and it's not even my name Type Foundry or whatever. And then I figured okay, I need to change this, because I believe that the best brands out there are more personal with the audience, with their customers. Yeah, absolutely human, especially now when we have the AI and everything. And I just went live, on Instagram one day. I decided, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I talked for an hour. I couldn't believe it. It was just me. I was talking for an hour. It was such a crazy thing. And that became the podcast. The next week I said to a friend, type designer as well from the US, hey, let's go live and chat. It wasn't
I like that.
I didn't have this idea. I want to develop podcasts with really big names and everything. And then I figured, why wouldn't I do it? It was fun. It's not my comfort zone. It's not really what what's the thing that I feel most comfortable at, but why not do it? So a year later, we are in a season 2 and talking to some really cool people. And I love it, honestly. It's so, I've learned so many things. I could write 5 books right now.
I can help you design books if you want to, buddy. I can help you design
it. Absolutely. I mean, if I get to that stage, I'm totally open to that. Yeah, because I love your work, and I've seen your website, and probably there's even more work that's not on the website and it's not published, and you did so many things. So yeah, I mean, why not?
Can I add as well? Being an outside looking into what you're doing and your platform, I'm in awe of it. I've been following for a while. Like I said, we connected for ages, but we never had a chance until now. And one thing I've gathered, from watching all the podcasts, is that it feels personal. I mean, that's what it is. It's people see through, maybe even more heightened since COVID, but people see through the BS, or they see through the idea of, you have a set of questions that you want to answer. Cool. So you know what they're about and their design methodology. But I want to know the person as well as an individual.
Yeah.
And I love that what you do, all the people that you speak to.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I wanted to, because I've been talking to James Bernard yesterday as well.
I know James, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
cool guy.
He was on so many podcasts and he did so many interviews. And I was like thinking, okay, is this like a mistake to have a person who's like, he answered all the possible questions.
Please.
Like I was thinking for days, what can I ask him? And then I figured like, just make it personal, because most of the people don't go in that direction. They ask, how did you start? What was your best project? What did you learn and stuff like that? But they don't talk about, well, most of them, about parenthood, about growing up, about what really makes you,
Yeah.
And I love that. And with Matt Voice, we talked for half an hour about his anxiety issues and my anxiety issues before. And, it gets really personal, and I absolutely love that. So and I love this conversation. It's so absolutely amazing. We haven't chatted ever before in live. And
I was thinking that we didn't actually have usually, because I've done a lot of podcasts. Usually we have like a Zoom like intro before, and we never did. We just spoke.
We never did.
This can't get any more organic if you tried.
Yeah. I try not to have those talks before, because that helps me somehow to bring natural responses in people, because if you prepare for the podcast, you have some kind of level of what you can expect and not. But I love this, and it was so good. There's one more thing that about your career that I want to mention, because it's really a big thing. So you have been chosen between 25 designers for planets this year, and that's quite a big thing. Tell me more about it. How did you feel? How does it sit with you?
That was so this is a weird one, and I will say why. So firstly, when I was nominated and put forward, it was amazing, because obviously a lot of work I do is editorial, is projects, is publications, is work to the community, right? A lot of the books and the content features about how communities change, people behavior, how they what they produce, how that affects the environment as well, and all the other 25 or 24, I should say, including myself, featured working in different crafts that still have that same underlining element of how can we make the planet better, basically, right? So it was insane. It felt like the Avengers kind of called, and then I just kind of tagged along as like they need one more Avenger at the end. Who can we get? Let's get South London Kieron. But on a serious note, like it was awesome to be part of that experience, and to meet other people online as well. But, and this was the flip, very difficult side, which I haven't actually mentioned this on social media probably until now. The day of the event for this celebration, which was at the Barbican, was the same day my granddad passed away. The exact same day. So it's a weird experience, because that was this achievement, the Trailblazers Redesigned Planet, was perhaps the biggest thing to happen probably in my career, I would say, thus far. And it aligns with the saddest day of my life thus far. So it is a weird period. So, but that being said, and this is why I'm comfortable saying it now, because there's a bit of closure and everything. But I think how I view my work and perspective on life as a whole has shifted based on that experience. So yes, it was perhaps the biggest thing in my career to happen thus far, but obviously my family on that particular day, on that same morning, trumps any other emotion, any other feeling in the water. So yeah, I mean, I was sorry, I know I was a bit of a down on it, but it was just,
absolutely okay.
I feel now confident enough that I could, that's why I didn't put it on social media. I didn't put anything about that day. But I'm also a firm believer in, it wasn't meant to be as well, right? In terms of, obviously I was nominated and I was part of it, and I did some talks leading up to it, but the event itself, that day was meant for grandpa. So, and that's what we did. That's what we had, so, I'm grateful, and I believe opportunities will pop up anyway. But like I said, it's my perspective on life has shifted anyway.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
you know, who knows, like another year from now, we have another chat, something else happens. But yeah, prep for a reason, buddy. So yeah, that's why it was a odd day. Yeah.
I can imagine, and
Yeah.
I'm really sorry for your loss. I mean, from what I've picked, you've been really close to your grandpa, and
Can I show you one thing, actually? One thing. This is, there we go, because I have it here. So I have this on my social media. This is,
yes, I've seen that. Yeah,
my very good friend, Emily Shen, did this.
Amazing.
And that's why it's important, because, and I'll say the last thing on it, is that Grandpa was a massive advocate for my work that I do. Because generation, he's 92, so back then graphic designer wasn't a thing, but he always saw all my books. He would physically have a look at them. So that's why this Lagos book as well was incredibly important to finish it, because it was the same week as well we went to print for the book of Grandpa. It was important that that book was designed in his honor. So, dude, I have my inspiration there every day, man. Like, I'm good to go.
That's absolutely beautiful. I mean, and thank you for sharing that. And I wasn't really sure if I could ask any questions about, but can you pick some lessons that he taught you?
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's probably a million of them.
Yeah. Do you know what Grandpa used to say to me? He used to had this saying, like, say what you mean and mean what you say. Which was interesting because I didn't really get that growing up. But Grandpa was a very spiritual man. He was a very calm. I can probably count on my hands how many times he's been angry, or I've seen him angry.
Wow.
My grandma, now, that's another thing, because Jamaican culture is a whole different book. But that humility and that calmness oozed from him. And I think that's something that, now being a father and, you know, looking after my grandma as well, because we're a very close family and, you know, she lives very close to me. I think that's one of the lessons one of many lessons that moving forward of anything I do, whether it's work, whether it's navigating through people in space, whatever it is, it's understanding, to feel that, you know, if you got something to say it, be confident when you say it, but also it's okay to be quiet. It's okay to be calm. He was a very calm man. He wasn't loud, but he was an incredibly funny guy as well. And if you'd only know that if you ask him a question. He's not the kind of person to jump in and give you like, he's not that. And me in school was a little bit opposite. I was quite a loud kid, but I've learned over the years, and especially in the last few months, to just be a bit more calm with it. And I don't think that would ever happen unless this situation have happened. But it has happened, and I now know how to navigate the world, I think, even better as a result of it.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's really a strong message and quite a big lesson, I mean, for your life, and that will probably impact the life of your daughter and everything from now on. And I had some other questions about work, but you
can ask me. I feel bad now. Sorry that I shifted.
No, it's perfectly good, because I love this side, because, you know, work will be there. It will be on social media, unless there is something really important that you want to share about something coming up. But of course,
it's top secret. I can't say. It's all NDA.
No, it's a secret. No worries. But I love this. I love this kind of openness, and, you know, not a lot of people is ready to be really vulnerable and open, like, towards the whole world, because, you know, maybe this podcast will have 20 people listening, but it might have had a lot more, and being open and actually showing your true self is probably the best thing each of us can do. So, I mean, thank you for all of that. And I had such an amazing chat with you.
Likewise.
Honestly, if I knew, like, it would be this amazing, I would do it way sooner. We would somehow find the time.
Yeah. But it happened for a reason, though, mate. No, maybe I mean, there wouldn't be no book here either. So maybe we had to have time to.
That's true. I mean, that was one monumental piece of work, and I mean, thank you for everything, for the energy you brought today. It really lifted me up, and thank you for everything you shared. And I definitely would love to repeat a chat with you sometime in the future.
100%.
And with some other opportunities as well. So it was such a pleasure. I mean, I could go on and on and on about how amazing this was. It's a really, really beautiful experience. And thank you for that.
I enjoy it. And can I say one last thing as well? Like, just
absolutely.
Again, thank you for carving time out in the space to create this podcast, for not even just myself, for anyone, because it's necessary. There's a lot of podcasts out there, blogs out there, some really good ones, but it's very saturated and it can feel a little bit like, where do I start? And this is hand on heart, and I'm not BSing you here, but I've done a lot of podcasts, but this is perhaps the most, maybe because of what I said about Grandpa, but the most personal one I've ever done, easily ever done. So for that, by default, it's my most favorite one I've ever done. I'm not just saying that. So thank you for having that. So really hopefully people listening and watching will get that energy too, man.
Yeah, that really means the world to me. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll definitely have another chat. I mean, I'm not going to miss the opportunity to have this once again. So
my pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Either when I come to UK, London, or you come to Spain.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So once again, thank you for this, and have a absolutely wonderful day, and chat soon.
Sounds like a plan. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Real stories with bold creatives. Captain Off Script Podcast.